Hey, hey, hey.
Hey,
It's Boss in April.
just being the Joneses.
Just being the Joneses.
Hey.
Just being the Joneses. Hey.
Hope y'all doing well out there.
Yes, yes. So we back with another episode of Just Being the Joneses. We will not be partaking in our Would You Rather today, but we got stuff to talk about. So we're going to jump into that instead.
Mm-hmm.
But today's topic is going to be something very much needed because there's so many, it's nothing new, but there's so many relationships that's growing apart. And when you start growing apart, you start falling apart. And then you just might end up going your separate ways.
That's right. That's
And
the reality of it.
yeah. And some good people, good relationships that have some good potential and to be, people to be great together. So it's just a matter of how do we stay peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, putting in the work to keep the spread smooth, and desirable for one another.
Mm-hmm. Like stuff that kind of, I think for me, I feel like recently I had a situation that happened that could have torn us completely apart, right? Because so the day and a matter of fact, it was the day because I went in there to go make I went in to make a peanut butter. Speaking of peanut butter and jelly, I went to go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And for some reason, it was crunchy peanut butter in there. So I was like, this can't possibly, if this man went about crunchy peanut butter, it must be something, he can't possibly love me like he say he do, right? Because I don't like crunchy peanut butter.
Yeah, but
so I had to scrape the little. We had a little bit of creamy peanut butter left in one jar, and I just had to scrape it out of that jar.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was in this kind of like in this thing by myself because if you're gonna buy crunchy, also buy creamy.
Mm-hmm. But appreciate when I bring home some peanut butter.
No, it don't work like that.
That's just what you got to do.
No, nope. That's for self.
But I normally buy creamy peanut butter because that's what everybody else like. So I just adapted to it because I grew up on crunchy. But the reason we have crunchy in this house because I was buying hurricane supplies and I wanted to get some peanut butter and crunchy was all that was left.
Okay. So
that's why we have crunchy.
Instead of explaining more about the crunchy peanut butter.
I didn't say F you or nothing. I just got some.
We just go.
And so we're not falling apart over some peanut butter.
We was gonna fall apart over the peanut butter. Okay, we really was gonna fall apart about the peanut butter.
See her mindset.
Yes, we were gonna fall apart.
How cold she is.
The fact that you didn't already know to read my mind. Y'all know how we think that our mate's supposed to be our mind readers. Okay, and that's one reason why some relationships grow apart because you're supposed to know. You're supposed to know. Now, some things you do supposed to know. I really feel like some things you really do supposed to know. Like if you done been with somebody long enough, some things you just know. You just not doing the things or being thoughtful, being considerate just because you just not doing it. It ain't. Some things is just not, but the mind reading thing is one of the things because sometimes people feel like I shouldn't have to say this or I shouldn't have to ask for that. I shouldn't have to say I want this or need that. And then sitting in that for so long and not getting it then creates resentment. So it's like read my mind.
Read your mind. Well, yeah, you're right. Because when you with somebody a certain amount of time, you're right. You're absolutely right. They're supposed to know. You're supposed to know each other.
Well, yeah, but it's
So
certain things you don't necessarily, you shouldn't have to assume too.
right. I mean, yeah, just come out and say it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean,
Because the other person might not be thinking about that and that, of certain things that you might need or you might want in that moment. And sometimes, if we know ourselves, sometimes we know that. Sometimes we can get a little wishy-washy or flip-flop. So on Monday, I might want this, you know, a need, I feel like I need this, but on Tuesday, I might not. And I might, you know, like for instance, maybe a little bit more affection. Let's just use that for an example. Sometimes, you should know that I need this affection, in this moment, in this time. Like you should know it, to come and wrap me up in your arms and hold me for an hour, and a lot of times people do know their mates in that way. Like, okay, I know that you like the cuddle time for an hour a day, but in some relationships, it's not always consistent like that. So it may not be like I want this an hour a day. It may be like I want this Monday, and then next Monday I might not want it, and then because I might want my space. You know what I'm saying? And when things like that happen, sometimes people still expect for the mate or their significant other to read their minds, instead of telling them this is what I need. But you're not paying attention to the fact that sometimes you will need this, and sometimes you need something different.
mm-hmm.
So how is the person supposed to know when you change that? Like, when does that flip off? When does that need for that hour cuddle, when does that lights flip off and you really want your space? Because now I'm gonna come and try to give you that cuddle and you're gonna push back and want your space. So the next time, and when I give you your space, you really wanting that cuddle,
I guess you're supposed to try to guess. Maybe guess what the person wants. If it's been a while, if it's been a week or whatever, you just or ask, hey, can you want to come over here by me? You want to sit by me and let's cuddle up, let's hug up and watch a movie?
Okay, so asking is more like it, because guessing now.
I mean, well, guessing, yeah, I think it is a good to do that, because you can just do it. There's nothing wrong with just doing it. Like if I'm just coming on, if I just, instead of asking you, hey, do you want to come over here, babe? You want to come over here with me so we can cuddle up and watch this movie? If I just kind of grab you and motion you towards this way, it's a yes or no. Maybe you want your space. Maybe you want to come cuddle.
Yeah, and so, see, I mean, with you that works, guessing. But with you that works. So with you and I, that may work. So you may be, and I may say, nah, I'm which I barely ever say that, but I'm just saying,
just for example.
But for somebody else, it may be like, oh, so you don't want to come over here with me, and that may be like a feeling of rejection for that person, or oh, you wanted to cuddle on Monday. If I wouldn't cuddle with you, then you got attitude because I ain't cuddle. But now I'm asking you to do you want to cuddle, and you don't want to cuddle. So then it's like that. Some people get stuck in a cycle like that, really. So it just depends on their mindsets and how their relationship is designed and set up.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, when I try to touch you, you push me away. Mm-hmm. Or, but then she's over here on another day saying, well, I want him to, in her mind, it's like, I want him to touch me.
He's supposed to know.
I want him to, and vice versa. It can be the same way with a man. Like, I want her to just come on to me or show me that she want me. But then they're just in their own little mindset, like, okay, I'm waiting on him to do the same thing. I'm waiting on her to do the same thing. Yeah. And then that causes kind of like a growing apart if that goes on for so long, because it's like not everybody just waiting on the other person. Both people waiting on the other person to read their mind
to initiate it,
and initiate something instead of just being. And you would think that sometimes when you're in a relationship that's not like that, and you're more vocal and you're more assertive with your needs and your wants and stuff like that, you don't realize that some other people in their relationships aren't that way. And sometimes you do have those that struggle in those cycles like that, and just for whatever reasons, I'm tired of asking for it, or I'm tired of out, or then they start feeling like they ain't want it or whatever to say. And sometimes those situations can lead to infidelity, which is another thing, because if you get caught up in that, that's another growing apart.
Shoot, yeah.
That could happen.
Definitely, yeah.
Even further apart, right?
Seen that many times with different people, yeah. Because I mean, that's a big cut, a big, a big gash
Yeah,
in the relationship,
wound.
a big
Yeah,
wound. Yeah,
something
when
that's
you take
hard
it
to come
there,
back from.
yeah, when you take it there, whether you get caught right away or not, you know what I'm saying. I mean, once you do it, that wound is there. You know what I'm saying. There's no going back.
Well, it's the
You know
wound
what I'm
for the
saying.
person that was the hurt partner, and then the person who actually did it. Sometimes they, while they're growing apart from their partner, they can be growing closer to somebody else,
The other person,
and
yeah.
that's and emotionally, if it's emotional,
Mm-hmm.
that definitely causing a big rift. And then now you picking arguments for no reason,
Yeah.
or or now you probably just not in the mood with the person you with because
Yeah.
you would rather be somewhere else and
Think
different
about the
things
other
like that.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like even with that and other things, not just infidelity, but like when there's behavior, like undesirable behaviors from one partner or both partners, and then there's no real um desire, or there's no real effort, I would say effort to change.
Mm-hmm.
So then the other person's somebody start trying,
Sometimes, yeah, the effort gets lost because, yeah, the other person just probably is just like, hey, you know what, I'm done with this. You're gonna keep doing what you do anyway. So, and that could be, I don't know, that could be on both sides,
saying
because
it can be, yeah, in different
that could be on both
reasons.
sides. You know what I'm saying? Because the person who's cheating be like, hey, I think I'm happier over here, so I'm gonna put more attention, more emotion to my side piece. You know what I'm saying? My side man, dude, or whoever, side chick or whoever, and or the flip side, yeah, the other person can be like, yeah, they just could keep cheating on me anyway. So what's the point,
Yeah, and not just cheating. I mean, like outside of that too, like things like
Oh yeah, it could be
you
many
stand
different
out.
things.
It's certain things that I keep asking you to do
Mm-hmm.
about, like certain coming in at a certain time, or I think it's disrespectful when you do this, or
Boundaries. It could be
boundaries,
financial
financial
reasons.
things.
There's
You
different
keep
reasons.
spending money and
Yeah,
our bills are due,
yeah. And
and
how
you're
are we
spending
gonna meet
bill
our
money.
financial goals if you keep spending
Mm-hmm.
money on getting Jordans whenever they come out and all this? We try to take these trips or whatever the issue
Pay
is.
these, save these money, buy this house,
Buy this
whatever it
house, yeah,
is.
to make our life better for the long run. You think about this month, I'm thinking about 20 years from now. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you're not on the same
Being
page with that,
mm-hmm.
then it's not gonna work.
Yep. And
You're
then
gonna have issues. I will say you're gonna have issues.
yeah, even some emotional support or support around the house, or different things. Like a lot of times, sometimes it's it's emotional support. Sometimes somebody is going through a personal battle,
Yeah.
and they do want that emotional support from the person that they're with, and it's like that person sometimes don't know how to give it to them. Sometimes it's not always that they are not willing to do it, but it's like they don't know how.
They don't know how to do it. Yeah.
And then if they're not, it's exhibiting a certain level of emotional intelligence themselves, it's difficult to deal with somebody else in a very fragile emotional place.
Yeah.
So sometimes those things can get lost and cause a growing or drifting apart, because now it's these thoughts of, now you're not supportive, and all of these different things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of these different things can cause couples to become enemies with each other, right? So it's like now we are being spiteful toward each other. We're saying things that's hurtful.
You don't have to say good things to say to each other. Don't want to spend time together.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
type of stuff.
You're just roommates.
And
I've seen that too.
Yeah, and
it's bad. When it gets to that point, it is bad, and it's often hard to come back from.
Yeah, and sometimes playing on different teams, so to speak. I always like to tell people that when you have an issue, look at that issue or that problem on the outside of you. So you got that problem, because if you were sitting there, you would talk. If your kid kept getting in trouble about something, and you felt like your child was having a problem, or your child was the problem, and you come together as a parent to sit down and talk to your child is gonna be sitting there, and then you two have that common goal to try to figure out what's going on with your kid, right? So look at that problem on the outside of you. This problem is sitting across from you guys, and then you're sitting there, and okay, now we are working together against this problem. We are not working against each other, we're working together. We're not enemies, we're on the same team. So how do we fix this problem? Or how do we work through this problem together? Because to stop the growing apart and start the process of growing back together, sometimes you have to kind of sit there and think like, wow, we really been hurt. I really been hurt. She or he really been hurt. Like my mate, my significant other really been hurting. I don't want to hurt anymore. I don't want them to hurt anymore. So what can we do together and not just together, but also what can you do as that individual person to help the situation too? Because sometimes we're so busy trying to work on the other person, that we don't work on ourselves.
You got to look in the mirror and see, hey, what can I do? What am I doing that's wrong? You know what I'm saying? Like you say, look on the outside, looking in toward yourself. Like, hey, I could have been doing this better, or why did I say that the other day? That was pretty bad. I wouldn't want to say that to me.
Or am I? What is my goal really to hurt the person that I love?
Yeah.
I
want to be here, but I don't want to be in misery. It's better to live in peace, common sense. So let me do what I got to do to help out, so that we come together and be peaceful, because we are on the same team together. So let's live in peace and love.
Yeah. So how am I checking myself? And that's the thing. Like, how am I checking myself? And how can I check me instead of always trying to check my significant other?
Yeah.
So let me check me. And of course you can't control anyone else and their behaviors, but you can only control yours, and and how you respond and react to certain things. Like, so how am I contributing to the problem, or am I going to contribute to a solution to the problem?
Right.
And then how can we work together on that? But at the same time, it's just like work looking at yourself. It's not being all for yourself. But, it's not me in this thing by myself. And, we want to live in peace, because at some point, obviously, you was living in peace if you got together,
Oh, yeah.
So how did we make that work before?
Right.
And sometimes people grow, like when people grow, sometimes people go in different directions. And if you're not careful in a relationship, you can be going in a different direction without even realizing that you're going in a different direction, because you're not paying attention to how much or how well you're staying connected.
Yeah.
And then you look up, and then you going one way and the other person going the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so y'all so far apart from each other.
Yeah.
Wonder how we got here.
Yeah, and not without having any common goals. Like I'm so engrossed in myself and my goals and what I'm working on for me, and then they're either not working on nothing or so engrossed in their goals and their self and what they're working on for them. But what are we doing where do we meet at? What common place do we meet at? Like, what are we doing to also grow together? Because you have your individuality.
But you're if you're married, then you are, you're one.
You one, but you still have your individuality.
You definitely still have your individuality, yeah. But I mean, what I'm saying, and like I say, you got to have those common goals with one another. What do you want to do with your marriage?
Yeah, your marriage goals.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you get caught up into just your individual goals, your marriage goals can suffer.
Oh yeah.
Or your bond, how you make sure you stay intimate with each other and not just physical, of course, because a lot of people as soon as you say intimate, people want to think about physical intimacy only. But like just having those, conversations too.
Yeah, communication.
And then being interested in what the other person got going on. Because if you do have your own individual goals going on, okay, what about talking about those things and staying open with each other about what y'all have going on? And then sometimes it can be one of those situations where the other person might be able to contribute or help. Like, how can I help you with that if I can, or, how can I get involved in what you're doing? What's to support you in what you're doing, or whatever. So you got to have that. If you find yourself in your relationship drifting apart or growing apart, one of the things to consider is recommitment.
Getting it fresh again. Getting the relationship fresh again from like it was before when you first met. That type of recommitment. Yeah. And
just recommitting to not just really
almost like kind of like a vow renewal, like what we did, something like that. Recommitment.
When I say recommitment, I mean recommitting to your part in the relationship, doing what you need to do to help the relationship to grow back together, like the two of you to grow back together. So recommitting to your relationship and saying, you know what, I kind of, drifted away a little bit, for whatever reason, but recommitting and really sitting down and talking about like what caused this rift in the beginning, like what was causing us to grow apart, and how do we recommit to each other so that we can bond and we can bring our relationship back together,
back
strong.
To what it was when you were loving each other.
Strong, like recommitting to loving each other, and recommitted to respecting each other. Like, I know we said some things that was hurtful. I said some things that was hurtful, whatever the case may be. And I know you may not trust me the same, because I also probably did some things that shook your trust, whatever it could have been. I could have shown that I could have been, I could have been checked out and wasn't here for you when you needed me to be here, whatever the case may be. But whatever it is, I'm recommitting to being here, to loving you, to this relationship. So just being like recommitting yourself.
That's good. That's a good point. Good idea.
And it takes two to do that.
It takes two. It takes both. One person can't do it by themselves.
Because it's a hard thing to be committed to a relationship that the other person ain't committed to. And it helps. It does happen.
Yeah. That's right. And it could be a lot. It could be a waste of time for both of y'all, for both people.
Yeah.
If like one person's not committed, because I mean, it's otherwise, what are you there for?
Yeah.
So.
Well, people have their reasons for being there and not being totally committed. It can be a whole lot of different reasons.
Yeah,
like
everybody
convenience. Just like financial stuff.
I mean,
not wanting to, want your cake and eat it too.
If you're there for the convenience, then I mean, you can find convenience somewhere else too.
Yeah, but sometimes it ain't. People like what they.
Everybody different. Everybody's complacency,
and they like what they like to stay in what they close to what they familiar to.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know what I'm getting here,
and they put up with it.
Yeah, and they put up with it.
Yeah.
Because you might go somewhere else and they ain't gonna put up with that foolishness. So it's like I could have stayed where I was and or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's a tough thing to be. I mean, that's one of the probably I feel like I have been there where I was committed to something, a relationship that where the other person wasn't 100% totally committed.
Right.
Because it's not that, we were married, but it's not that. But you could tell it when somebody is committed to something, because you tell that in their behavior and their actions.
Yeah.
If you could say all day long, I'm married.
But what are you really doing? Your actions, do you come home when I want you home? Do you love me the way I want you to love me? Yeah. I mean, if your actions ain't in it, then what's the point? I mean, yeah, you're married, but at that point, it's just you're not in it. You're not in it to be in love.
Well, because commitment means a lot of things. It means being trustworthy.
Yeah.
It means being loyal. It means being faithful. It means being available. It means being dedicated.
Yeah, wanting to be there for the other person. Dedicated, yeah.
It means a lot of things. So when that ain't lining up, and then you got one person that's being all those things and the other person not.
It takes two.
So at some point, when somebody don't want to be committed, so sometimes somebody wants you, but they don't want to be committed. They don't want to be 100% committed. They don't want to be committed to, they don't want to do what it takes or be committed to the thing, but they don't want you to go nowhere.
They want you there, yeah. But they still want to do what they want to do elsewhere, whatever that may be.
Yeah. So, I mean, at some point, you just got to make a decision.
Again, what are you doing here? You gonna stay there for the convenience because that's what you're used to? You like the money, or whatever the situation is, or you just
like having a house to come home to.
Like having a house to go to. These cars are pretty nice. I mean, yeah, situations are different, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I'd rather give it all up and be happy by myself and at peace.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just me personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you're going to be like, definitely, like being miserable with somebody.
Yeah.
And having to consistently go through pain and heartache and the same consistent stuff all over again.
Tired of trusting somebody who's not trustworthy. All those, what I mean? Again, why are you there?
Trusting somebody who ain't trustworthy. That's something. Yeah. Trying to trust somebody who ain't trustworthy.
Yeah, trying.
And you done showed me you ain't trustworthy time and time again. Yeah. Now, at some point, you hurt yourself.
Exactly.
Because
if you know the other person just not gonna be, if they ain't, definitely not trustworthy.
Yeah, if they don't see you, you gotta, when you recommit to somebody, and that's another thing with recommitting or being with somebody, you gotta actually see that person. I remember when we was in Jamaica and we did a for our couples retreat, and we did an exercise. She had us do an exercise where you had to put your hand on my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so
on each other's heart.
Oh, we did each other's? Mm-hmm. Okay. But anyway, it's like you feel that other person is, like for who they are. Like that's a breathing human being that you say that you love. Mm-hmm. You see them, they're there. Like, you can feel their heart beating,
look into their eyes.
Yeah.
Watch them
breathe, this is the person that I say I love.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, just I love this person,
Yeah, this is the person I say I love. So, how am I going to treat that person?
Yeah. Am I going to stay here and put in the work, or am I going to waste his or her time?
Yeah. And working on yourself, putting your selfishness aside and seeing that other person that is in front of you. Just seeing them. Like this is the person that I said that I wanted to be with for the rest of my life. So, am I gonna work on me and we gonna work together, or am I gonna walk away and they're gonna be happy? So the growing apart. Can we get back to where we were before? And I think it's possible when two people really love each other and they committed. It's the commitment piece for me, because you could love somebody all day long, but if you ain't committed to them,
if you ain't committed, then
that don't mean nothing.
Love don't hold much value.
Nope. So it's that commitment. So basically, when you find yourself growing apart, you got to think about, how committed am I to getting back to a place where we can be tightly, closely knit. We can be surviving, thriving.
Back to where it was fresh.
Yes.
That fresh love, that new love. That's what we get back to.
And that happiness.
Because that's what works. That happiness, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what works.
Because, it's definitely possible. But sometimes it'd be so much damage done till some people can't get past it. And I get that. I understand. I really understand it.
Yeah.
Because especially that's why you got to be careful too, especially what you say to the person that you are with, because those words can hurt you more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our podcast, y'all, on growing apart and coming back together like peanut butter and jelly.
Y'all, please.
The creamy peanut butter and jelly. The creamy peanut butter.
But if you're a little crunchy, ain't nothing wrong with that either. Ain't nothing wrong with that either. That's just more to love, baby.
Anyway, if he say so. But all right, y'all. It is Just Being the Joneses, and we out. We will be back for another episode in 2 Tuesdays.
Y'all be easy.
Work on it.